Good morning, everybody. I'm Isolina Abanez. I'm from Group 1, and we will be reporting about Module 3, Learning and Memory. So, number 1 is the behavioral theory. So, in behavioral theory, it talks about behavior of a human being that is based on a reward system or a punishment. So, nagre-react ang isang tao based dun sa nare-receive niyang punishment or sa reward. It also focuses on the stimulus-response connection. So, behavioral learning theory posits that learning occurs through observable behaviors and responses to stimuli. So, sa diagram, meron tayong stimulus, consumer, and response. So, example nito, yung Apple phones. Naglabas sila ng bagong Apple phone, and then they will create an ad that promoting the product, and the people saw the ad, they are getting interested to it, and they will purchase, and they will inquire about the product. That is conditioning. There are two types of behavioral learning theory. So number 1 is the classical conditioning. It is discovered by Pavlov. It means that a stimuli that elicit a response is paired with another stimuli that initially does not elicit a response on its own. So kapag daw ang isang stimuli ay pinaired sa isang stimuli, nakaka-produce ito ng response. For example, yung isang pagkain, ito ay tinatawag na unconditioned stimulus. So, it is naturally causes salivation. So, pag nakita ka ng pagkain, di ba, parang nakakagutom. So, that is unconditioned stimulus. Unconditioned response, yung dog na nagsasalivate. So, automatic yon. Yung aso, kahit makakita man siya ng pagkain o hindi, naglalaway siya. That is unconditioned response. And then, we have this bell. Yung bell, it doesn't causes salivation. So, it is called neutral stimuli. Before conditioning, a food is called unconditioned stimulus. And the bell is called neutral stimulus. And then during conditioning, when the bell is paired with the food, it is called conditioned stimulus. Yung aso naman, kapag nakita niya yung bell at yung pagkain, nag-react siya, ang tawag na doon, unconditioned response pa din. Kasi during conditioning to. And then after conditioning, repeated times na makita ng aso yung bell at yung pagkain, magiging conditioned stimulus plus conditioned response. So, doon naniniwala si Pavlov sa isang type ng behavioral conditioning, which is classical conditioning. The next one naman, na type of behavioral learning theory, is the instrumental conditioning. So, dito naman sa instrumental conditioning, yung behavior ng sa isang tao, sa isang consumer is magbe-base dun sa reward or dun sa punishment na marireceive niya. For example, yung aso ay dumudumi sa sofa. Ngayon, kung may gagawin kang isang bagay na matatandaan niya na bawal siya doon, dumumi, ay kunyari papaluin mo siya, para hindi na siya dumumi doon, pag ginagawa mo yun palagi sa kanya, na tuwing dumudumi siya doon, papaluin mo siya, matatandaan niya yon, and eventually, pag tumagal, hindi na niya yon gagawin. Kasi, yun yung marireceive niyang punishment. So, instrumental conditioning focuses on how voluntary behaviors are learned and modified based on the outcomes they produce. Next one naman, after behavioral learning theory, is the cognitive learning theory. This is a set of theories that stem from metacognition, or often described as thinking about thinking. So this theory asks us to think about thinking and how thinking can influence by internal factors such as how focused we are, how distracted we've become, and external factors like whether the things we learn are valued by our community or whether we receive praise from others when we learn. So, dito sa cognitive learning theory, sinasabi dito na ang isang consumer, possible din siyang maging critic mag-isip muna siya bago siya mag-purchase ng mga bagay, hindi based dun sa emotion niya unlike sa behavioral learning theory. Cognitive, like sa computer, gumagamit ng data, nag-i-store ng data, yung memory, yun yung pinapatukuyan ng cognitive learning theory. It also refers to the mental processes involved in gauging knowledge including perception, thought, memory, and problem solving. Yun po sa reflection na binigay sa lesson 3, ang unconditioned stimulus doon is yung image po ni Albert Einstein. Because that image naturally evokes feeling of intelligence, knowledge, and academic success. So, the unconditioned response is the feeling of the students na nakakita ng picture ni Albert Einstein. So, doon naman sa neutral stimulus, ito yung avatar na pinroduce ng school na nandun sa website nila. So, the avatar itself has no emotional impact on the consumer since they may not have any direct association with it. So, the conditioned stimulus is when the avatar is slowly incorporating itself to the image of Einstein that evokes yung feeling of intelligence, feeling of knowledge, feeling of success. And then, the conditioned response, after repeated visit to the websites, the consumer may begin to feel more positive and enthusiastic about the tutoring service simply by seeing the avatar, even without consciously thinking about Einstein. So, nawala na yung idea ng mga tao kay Einstein, nalipat na siya doon sa avatar nung school or nung tutoring services. So, through classical conditioning, the tutoring services uses the image of Albert Einstein to condition its consumers that knowledge and intelligence is also can be acquired through their service. So, ayun po yung classical conditioning, how it works, and the example that given by Pavlov. So, thank you for listening.
So, ang topic ko po ngayon is types of marketing application. Learned associations with brands generalized to other products. We can utilize this association in marketing application through repetition, conditioned product associations, and stimulus generalization. So, ano po ba ang marketing of repetition? Repetition helps build brand recognition and familiarity, leading to stronger consumer recall and potentially influencing purchase decisions. Marketers can embed these elements in their memory, making the brands more likely to be considered when a need arises. Pag sinabi po kasi nating repetition, ito yung action of repeating something that has already been said or written. So, here's an example of how repetition is applied in marketing and its impact in consumer behavior. Number 1 is building brand recognition and recall. Familiarity. Repetition creates a sense of familiarity. Next is brand recall. Repeated exposure enhance brand recall. Meaning, consumers are more likely to remember and identify a brand when making purchasing decisions. And yung jingles and slogans. Repetitive use of jingles or slogans can become memorable and stick in consumers' minds, further reinforcing brand recognition. Number 2 is influencing consumer attitude and preferences. Positive associations. Repeated exposure to positive messages and imagery can lead to favorable associations with brand. Building trust. Consistent messaging and repeated positive interactions can build trust and confidence in the brand. So next is examples of repetition in marketing. Number 1, andyan na yung television commercial. Pag naririnig natin yung paparapapa, natunog na agad, alam na agad natin na si McDonald's yun kasi nakatatak na siya sa ating mga isipan eh. Ginagamit din po natin yung I'm loving it na slogan na kadalasan din nakikita sa mga commercial. Sunod po is yung radio ads. Yung radio ads naman po kasi may specific po siya na channel na palaging pinagtatambayan ng mga nakikinig na mga nasa biyahe o yung mga nagtatrabaho. Yung DZRM radio, yung radyo ng Pilipinas. Karamihan mga local business ads, nire-repeat yung mga phone number, website addresses, or yung slogans, katulad nung sa Buwana Luwilier. Like, sinasabi nila kung saan yung mga branches nila, or yung sa Jollibee na dial hashtag 87,000 Jollibee delivery, na alam naman natin nakatatak na sa isipan natin yun, na kasi palagi natin siya naririnig, di ba? So, next is social media campaigns. For example, yung Nike ad na Just Do It slogan na palagi natin nakikita sa mga sponsored ads katulad ng Facebook, Instagram, or kahit saang social media pa yan, social media platform pa yan, or yung Spotify Rap na kung saan yung mga users neto, sinishare nila yung mga top songs or artists, tapos imamay din nila or story nila sa social media. And lastly is yung website designs. Yung website design naman po kasi, alam naman po natin lahat, 'di ba, yung Netflix logo dito. Dito tayo nanonood ng mga paborito nating K-drama, movies, series, anime, tapos yung Lazada and Shopee na familiar naman po tayong lahat na isa itong online shopping platform. Number 4 is importance of frequency and consistency. Frequency. Repeated exposure to a brand reinforces recognition. The number of times a consumer is exposed to a message is crucial of building brand recognition and recall. The more often consumers sees a brand, the more likely they are to remember it. Next is consistency. Uniformity in logos, messaging, and customer experience ensure that each interaction strengthens brand memory. Wear in and wear out. Refer to effectiveness and repeated brand or ad exposure. It is also important to avoid overexposure na pwede mag-cause irritation sa exhaustion sa mga customer. Marketing application of stimulus generalization. In consumer behavior, stimulus generalization occurs when a consumer's response to a specific marketing. Yung family branding. Brand extend their product lines, leveraging the positive associations of their established brand name to new products within the same category. For example, yung Dove uses family branding to introduce new personal care products. Dati ang alam lang natin sa kanila is yung Dove na bar soap and yung shampoo lang nila. Ngayon, nag-release pa sila ng bar soap for sensitive skins, deodorant, liquid soaps, and many more. Knowing that consumers who love and trust Dove's products are more likely to extend their trust to new offerings. Next is product lines extension. Marketers introduce new products that are logically related to product, hoping consumer will transfer positive association from the parent brand to the new product. Like yung Coca-Cola, 'di ba? Yung Coca-Cola brand dati, classic lang siya. Ngayon, nag-add pa sila ng more flavor sa kanilang product. Andiyan yung may Coke Zero Diet, tapos yung, di ba may mga nabibili na sa 7-Eleven na Coke Vanilla. Pero madami pa siyang iba eh. Ewan ko lang kung na-release na siya ngayon dito sa Pilipinas, yung mga ibang flavor. Building brand loyalty. Brand loyalty is when customers consistently prefer a purchase a specific brand over competitors due to positive experiences, trust, and emotional connections. Loyal customers not only repeat purchases but also advocate for brand leading to long-term success. Like for example, yung mga SM stores, they offer advantage card allowing shoppers to earn more points, 'di ba? And discounts on future purchases. Kasi tayo mga Pilipino, mahilig tayo sa discounts and rewards. Kaya kung may mga sweldo tayo, di ba, pabalik-balik tayo sa mga ganon. Advertising and marketing campaign. Marketers can use stimulus generalization in advertising but by featuring similar imagery, music, and or actors in different campaigns to reinforce brand recognition and positive association. Kung naalala nyo po, yung pinanood natin sa Understanding Self na short film, yung choice yung title sa YouTube, mas lalong pinatibay yung emosyon natin, di ba, sa ad na yon. Kasi nakakalungkot siya, pati ako naiyak dun eh, nung pinanood ko yun eh. nakatatak na sa isipan natin yung isang brand na yun kasi binigyan tayo ng emosyon na makakatatak sa ating mga isipan. Alam na agad natin na Jollibee nag-endorse doon, di ba? For the reflection naman po yung sa reflection naman po, some advertisers use well-known songs to promote their products. They often pay more for the song than the original compositions. How do you react when one of your favorite songs turn up in commercial? Since personal opinion po ito, for me, it depends sa kanta na pipiliin ko kung paano siya gagamitin. If yung song na ginamit nila is one of my favorite artists, BTS, or yung kung nag-fit man siya sa song nila sa ads na yon, syempre matutuwa ako kasi favorite artist ko yun eh. Favorite artist ko yun nag-endorse eh. Pero minsan, hearing a familiar song in an ad can change on how I feel about it. For example, if yung commercial is paulit-ulit, parang nakakasawa na siya pakinggan. Pero depende siya kung paano siya i-advertise ng isang ad na yun. Kasi minsan nakaka-LSS siya. Minsan nakakarinti kasi nga paulit-ulit. Why do advertisers do this? How does this relate to learning theory? Advertisers use well-known songs in commercials because music has a strong emotional and psychological impact on consumers. A familiar song can grab attention, evoke emotions, and create positive associations with a brand. This strategy is particularly effective when targeting specific demographics, such as BTS fans like me who already have a strong emotional ties in their music. So yung next naman po is classical and instrumental conditioning. There is a difference between classical and instrumental conditioning and both processes where our consumers learn about their product. Classical conditioning or Pavlovian conditioning. This is a positive learning process where a consumer associates a stimulus brand, products, logo with a certain response or feeling, like the ad's perfume of Victoria's Secret. It repeatedly shows a luxury lifestyle and attractive people. Over time, consumers associate the perfume with elegance and desirability. Or yung Coca-Cola associating its brand with happiness through festive commercials and celebration. Instrumental conditioning or operant conditioning. This is an active learning process where a consumer's behavior is shaped through rewards or punishments. It works through reinforcement, positive or negative. So, paano ba nakakatulong sa consumer to learn about products? Classical conditioning helps consumers develop emotional connections to brands, while instrumental conditioning encourages repeat purchases and brand loyalty through rewards. Positive reinforcement. This is an active learning process where a consumer's behavior is shaped through rewards or punishment. For example, a loyalty programs like Starbucks. Starbucks gives free items like tumblers, planners, and etc. Like, in every 70 purchases ata, nagbibigay sila ng stickers encouraging them to buy more, or yung discount and coupons sa online shopping platform like Shein, where a brand offers a discount code after a first purchase, motivating customers to return. Next is negative reinforcement. A behavior is encouraged by removing an unpleasant experience after the consumer performs a desired actions. For example, yung free shipping for a minimum spend. A retailer removes the shopping fees if a customer spends for a certain amount, pushing them to buy more. Or yung ad-free subscription sa YouTube. They offer an ad-free experience with the premium memberships, making users to avoid ads. And yung last naman po is punishment. A behavior is discouraged by introducing unpleasant consequences, making customers less likely to repeat it. Yung late payment fees sa mga online shopping such as Shopee na may SPay later pag hindi ka nakapagbayad on time. They will restrict your account, discouraging consumers less likely to return. So, ayun lang po yung topic ko.
Hi, hello guys. This is Cherry Alonso. So I'm reporting the learning objective number 5. So observation or observing other behavior. So the 5 steps of memory system in consumers' behavior. So we have the sensory memory. This is the first stage of memory processing where information from the senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch is briefly stored before it either fades or moves into short-term memory. So attention is the second stage of memory processing where the brain selects and focuses on important information while filtering out distraction. And then short-term memory is where information is briefly stored and processed before either fading away or being transferred to long-term memory. Long-term memory, where is information stored indefinitely and making it essential for brand recall, loyalty, and emotional connection. Elaborative rehearsal is a memory technique where consumer link new information to existing knowledge to make it more meaningful. I recall about the advertisement for the like Jollibee, like 2019 name choice. So we know naman that before last sem we tackled that advertisement that this is between Paul and Jake na nahirapan si Anne kung sino ipipiliin niya. At the end, we know that Paul is already passed away because of aneurysm, and then she will let go the past and then she will move on and with Jake. So for this commercial, this is emotional storytelling and relatable theme. It revolves around the idea of making life-altering choices symbolized by the protagonist decision around love. And that's all.
Good morning everyone, my name is Clarice and I'll be the one who will discuss about spreading activation in learning objective number 7. The learning objective is based on the idea of a brand and the product associations. This concept is very important in marketing, consumer psychology, and branding. In spreading activation, the first here is a brand specific. When a consumer thinks of a brand, associated attributes comes to mind. So best example here is when you hear Nike, it might be trigger thought of athleticism, performance, and word na just do it. A specific advertisement can be triggered memories of a brand of a product. So seeing this Got Milk ad campaign can immediately bring milk brands. Next, number 3 is brand identification. It's about recognition of a brand name, logo, or slogan, activates related associations. So best example here is the McDonald's, the Jollibee, and Nike. So seeing the golden arcs automatically makes people think of McDonald's. So yun, from nakita pa lang nila yung arc ng M, automatic McDonald's. Yung check is automatic is brand ni Nike. Ganun. Number 4 is product category activation. Think about a category activates a specific brand with that category. So example here is thinking of smartphones. When we say smartphones, or may activate Apple, Samsung, or Google in a consumer's mind. So pag sinabing smartphones, okay, Apple yan, Huawei, yan, Lenovo, Oppo, yan, Samsung dito sa Philippines. So number 5, evaluate reactions. Number 5 is about emotional or judgmental responses triggered by a brand or a product. So example here is a luxury brands like Rolex and yung Louis Vuitton, diba? It may be immediately trigger thoughts of prestige and high quality, diba? Syempre kapag halimbawang you're using Rolex or Louis Vuitton, diba? Parang ang sarap ng feeling kapag ganun. For my reflection, so identify a script you expect when you use a specific product. Did your script facilitate or limit marketing objectives? Best example here is when you're ordering coffee on the shop. Of course, diba? Punta ka dun sa shop, look at the menu, order a drink, then specify your size, type, then pay using your cash or card, and then you will wait for the barista to call your name. And then pick up the drink, add some sugar or sleeve, then enjoy your coffee. Do you think they limit your marketing objective? Of course, yes, diba? So, dun po pasok yung loyalty program, like rewards, then yung customization, diba? The size, the milk flavors, makes your customer feel that they have control. And last, of course, they encourage repeat business due to predictable and smooth process. Bayo naman kasi yung gusto natin, yung fast transaction, smooth lang yung process, something like that. That would be all about my report, and thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, my name is Spencer Abesha. Let's move on to learning objective 8. How products help us retrieve memories from our past. Number 1, have you noticed that when you feel a certain way, you remember past moments when you felt the same? This is called state-dependent retrieval. Example, eating champorado might remind you of the comforting days when suspended ang klase dahil may bagyo, tas pagluluto ka ng nanay mo. Ngayon, mga anak mo lang ang walang pasok. This sentiment is what marketers go for in advertisements. Number 2, familiarity and recall. We tend to remember things we repeatedly experience. That's why eating adobo can remind you of home-cooked meals growing up. Parang nang isang beses sa isang linggo niluluto ang adobo. So you know for sure, hahanap-hanapin to ng mga tao. The same goes for turon na tinatago mo pa dati sa bulsa. Number 3, salience and the von Restorff effect. We remember unique experiences better. Example, do you remember the first time you tried balut? Tapos malas mo, dumudugo at puro pakpak pa yung sisiw. That's why you see foreigners advertising balut all the time sa social media. Number 4, viewing context. Sometimes where we experience something affects how we remember it. Kung malinis ba, subok ba, komportable ba, or sulit ba. Siguro naman kapag tinanong ka ng tropa saan kakain, hindi tusok-tusok unang nasa isip mo. Number 5, pictorial and verbal cues. Visual and auditory cues help us recall memories. Pag nakakita ka ng parayok maliban sa pagluluto, malamang naalala mo nung bata ka pa, no? Pumapalo ka pa nung palayok. Dinadaya mo pa nga yung piring sa mata. Or hearing taho might transport you back to your childhood. Number 6, sensory associations. Cues lang yung kanina, ito senses. The smell of sampagita might remind you of school programs or tiyapo. And even touching a banig might make you think of afternoons spent napping at your lola. Tapos pagkagising mo, nasa balat mo na yung pattern at di mo alam kung tutupiin or i-roll yung banig. You might think, ang dami kong dinadagdag na minuscule details, but those are what marketers look for to stand out. Number 7, emotional and personal significance. We remember events that made us feel strong emotions. Example, Jollibee, Chicken Joy, Yum Burger, ini-enforce nila yung positive emotions, which is why Filipinos celebrate their birthday or success by having Jollibee. For reflection, think about your own experiences po. What are your 3 favorite foods? What memories do you associate with these foods? Are these foods linked to specific family events or traditions? Here are mine. That's it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is AJ Padlisan and I'm assigned to report about lesson objective number 9. Marketers measure our memories about products and ads. Marketers measuring our memories to understand how well their ads and products stay in minds of consumers. Number 1, recognition versus recall. Recognition, checking if people identify a familiar ad or product involves identifying a previously encountered stimulus when it's presented again. Recall, asking individuals to retrieve details about a product or product they encountered. 2. Problem with memory measure. Memory is not perfect and measuring is accurately poses challenges. Here are common issues. Response bias. Participant might provide answer they think are correct or expected. Memory lapses. Omitting, averaging, telescoping. Illusion of truth effect. The illusion of truth effect is a repeated exposure to statement increase that people will perceive it as true even if it's false. This effect highlights how our cognitive bias and memory can influence decisions making. Number 4, the marketing power. Marketers skillfully tap into nostalgia and retro themes to create emotional connection with audience. Bringing back beloved characters or trends from the past can evoke fond memories, stirring up positive emotion that make consumers feel a sense of familiarity and comfort. This in turn strengthens their connection to the brand. Why this word? Nostalgia. Trigger nostalgic feelings can make people associate a brand with cherished times in their lives. For example, bringing back a childhood mascot or releasing an iconic product design. Retro appeal. Retro styles, themes, or packaging often stand out in today's market, offering a unique, timeless charm that attracts both older audience who remember the originals and younger ones who see it vintage cool. Tactic has proven effective for many brands, from reviving 90s logo to relaunching discontinued products. Reflection. Retro brands targeted to you. Retro brands often try to evoke a sense of nostalgia or heritage. Levi's jeans, known for its classic denim styles which might have been a wardrobe styles for your parents. Converse Jack Taylors, timeless sneakers that spans generations. Nokia phones, once a household name, some newer models revive the classic designs with modern twists. This brand could have been part of your parents' lives. Clothing they wear, gadget they use, or even foods and beverage like Coca-Cola with its vintage-inspired marketing. Ask yourself, do these brands resonate with your memories of growing up or hearing stories about your parents' choices? Thank you.
So that's all for Group 1. Thank you for listening.